Hello and welcome back to another fantasy football video. Hope you are all doing well. Now we are very much bang in the middle of game week 12 currently, but like game week 11 to 12, to game week 12 to 13 is a very quick turnaround. So I thought I'd make a quick little video ahead of game week 13, looking at some potential players that we can be bringing in. With the Arsenal Manchester City assets now being available, it provides us a lot more options and a lot more to consider ahead of game week 13 in terms of transfers to make. Don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button if you are new around here and enjoy this content. Don't forget to leave a comment down below of the players that you're thinking of bringing in ahead of game week 13, and let's get straight on into this one. So the first player that we are looking at ahead of game week 13 is Phil Foden of Manchester City, coming in at 8.3 million. A lot of people will be considering him for this game week 13, especially with the fact that Arsenal and Manchester City did get the break in the midweek. So players like Haaland, players like De Bruyne, players like Foden will be very much raring to go, especially after the defeat to Liverpool in game week 11. You feel as Manchester City will very much want to stomp their mark back on the Premier League. Foden has started in every single game thus far this season. He's been a bit of a minutes risk, getting subbed off at halftime some games, and some games in the sort of 50th to 57th minute. But with the goals and assists that Foden has been providing, he has been scoring enough points so that doesn't really matter. He scored 64 points so far this season, as you can see there, with an expected attacking contribution of 0.7. And, you know, if he's picking up a goal and an assist in a game and then getting subbed off in the 50th minute, so be it. You'd rather take the points from the goal and the assist and the bonus points than you would just simply for him getting to the 60th minute and not picking up any attacking returns. Now, we can see here from this heat map that he was very much playing out wide in the Liverpool game. He was the second highest player up the pitch for Manchester City, which is a positive. And against a Brighton side that since Potter has left has got defensively worse, I can see Foden very much punishing them and being potentially one of the highest scorers ahead of game week 13. Now, the big debate this week will be whether you go for Foden or Saka. Saka, prior to the blank, was looking very much on hot form, scoring 3 goals in 2. Saka also has a massive bonus of being the penalty taker for Arsenal. Like Foden, we can see there from the heat map that he was playing very, very far out wide. Saka picking up 63 points so far this season, only 1 point behind Foden. And unlike Foden, he is not a rotation risk or a minutes risk at all, playing 90 minutes in the majority of Arsenal's games. The fixtures that Saka does have arguably a little bit less favourable than at Manchester City, and Foden's fixtures, playing against Southampton and Forest, 2 very nice fixtures, then Chelsea away, and then a couple of away games after that until the World Cup. He's picked up 4 goals and 4 assists so far this season, and has definitely picked up his form of late compared to the start of the season, where, you know, owners like myself had him and were very much hoping him to pick up a penalty or pick up some points for us, and Martinelli was the one streaming ahead. It seems now Saka is the one on form for Arsenal, and definitely one that we should be considering ahead of game week 13. Who would I go for out of the two, out of Saka and Foden? It is a very tight decision. I do feel like Foden has the better fixtures up until the World Cup break, and I can see him objectively doing better in game week 13 than Saka, but then come game week 14 when Saka plays against Forest, I can see Saka doing better than 15, I can see Foden doing better, and so on and so on. I think it'll be a little bit of a tit for tat between the two, and it is a bit of a 50-50, so I'd say very much go with your gut on this one. I think personally, I'm going to be going for Foden, but I can very much understand you. But I can very much understand if you fancy going for Saka instead. Now, the next man that we are considering is Trent Alexander-Arnold for Liverpool. Now, Liverpool picking a clean sheet, which has been very few and far between for them against Manchester City last weekend. Now, Trent wasn't actually playing in that game, but he did get subbed on in about the 89th minute. Will he play in the West Ham game? That is yet to be seen. He could even be moved into that right mid spot where Harvey Elliott was playing, allowing Harvey Elliott to push onto the left side now that Jota is injured. If he does get pushed up into that position, he could be a very, very threatening option going forward. You can see there from his heat map, he's getting the highest up out of all the defenders, and he gets very far forward, and obviously he puts the crosses in and is good for the bonus point on his day. The lacking thing for Liverpool so far this season has been his defensive qualities. He's not been good enough defensively. James Milner did an absolute job for Liverpool against Manchester City. Will that mean that Trent comes back into the right back position? I could, as I say, actually more likely see him going into that right mid position, allowing Milner to go right back and them having a bit more defensive cover. Liverpool, as you can see here, from Game Week 13 and onwards, have some pretty decent fixtures. They play against Forest away, Leeds at home, and then Tottenham away. You would expect that they would most likely be keeping a clean sheet against Forest or Leeds, and after that, come Game Week 16, they play against Southampton at home. So 3 very nice fixtures out of the last 4 for Trent. Now, coming in at 7.2 million, he's obviously very much a premium option, and it's going to be, I wouldn't sort of smash apart your team in order to be getting him in if you do have a couple of free transfers and you fancy going for a bit of a punt, because Trent is a punt now. His ownership has dropped quite significantly to a point where if you bring him in, you're actually going to be flying up the table. He has that potential to send you flying with the attacking contributions that he can get from fullback, and so Trent is a player that I'm seriously considering. Bowen is another player that looks pretty good from Game Week 13 onwards. He's got some nice fixtures playing against Bournemouth at home in Game Week 13, and then he's got that Crystal Palace at home in Game Week 15, and then plays against Leicester at home in Game Week 16. Arguably, West Ham have the best set of fixtures from this point up until the World Cup. You can see here that he is quite far out right, but he is one of the furthest forward players on the pitch. Massive bonus for him and FPL managers is that he is on penalties, tucking away the last one that he stepped up for. I very much see him now being the penalty taker for West Ham. Skamaka may have something to say to that if Bowen does miss the penalty, but for now, I feel that it is Bowen's spot to lose, picking up 38 points so far this season. It hasn't been as great of a season for Jarrod Bowen, but for an improving West Ham side, I feel like you can very much attack the coming game weeks with Jarrod Bowen. His expected goals and expected assists haven't been too great also, and only picking up 2 goals and 1 assist. I very much feel like Bowen is more of a punt. Same price virtually as Foden and Saka. I feel like for me, those 2 options are clear, but it is very much a punt going for Jarrod Bowen, mainly going for the fixtures rather than the form, and he could offer you a nice little differential. The final player we are looking at is Gabriel Jesus of Arsenal. Now, his ownership is still very, very high, with plenty of people keeping him into their teams, but I have seen a lot of people transfer him out for the likes of Tony, the likes of Mitrovic, even the likes of Dominic Solanke, allowing people to free up funds to get the likes of Salah, the likes of Zaha, get an extra midfielder in, get the Foden, get the Saka, for example. But I feel like Jesus, it could be his time, and for a lot of those people, they could get punished by not owning him. You can see from the heat map there that he actually does drop a little bit further back from his 3 attacking midfielders. I feel like he drops into those positions to then lay it off to them. We can see though from his expected contributions that he is underperforming actually a little bit than his expected stats do say. He's almost expected a goal in every single game, coming in with an expected goal return of 0.87, and he's only scored 5 goals and got 3 assists so far this season, and he's only scored 5 goals and got 3 assists so far this season. I can very much see the potential of Jesus hauling in the coming game weeks, especially with the fixtures that he has got, playing at Southampton away and Nottingham Forest at home. He could very much feast in those games. I feel like though, if you do have the likes of Ivan Toney or Mitrovic, arguably it is just worth holding on to them. But if you do have the likes of Dominic Solanke, even if you've brought in Edouard, I feel like Jesus could be a player to bring in if you've got the transfers and the funds available in order to afford him. So this has just been a quick little preview ahead of Game Week 13. A couple of players that I feel that are very much going to be looked at, the likes of Saka and Foden. There's going to be massive debates held across all the platforms. And for me, as I say, I think Foden just about pips it for me. But I think that Jesus could actually be one that goes under the radar a little bit for people. Don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button if you are new around here. Comment down below any players that you're thinking of bringing in, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.